Welcome to this episode of Jack Talk. I'm your host, Laura Sadler, and we will be discussing topics that are happening on your SFA campus and in your Nacogdoches community. First up, we have Evan Colson, the Director of Outdoor Pursuits, with us to talk about the TEDx SFA and a little glimpse into what one of these conventions is like. You're watching Jack Talk. Welcome back to the studio where I'm seated with our special guest, Evan, and my co-host, Will Hackney. TEDx was created in the spirit of TED's mission, Ideas Worth Spreading. The program is designed to give communities, organizations, and individuals the opportunity to stimulate dialogue through TED-like experiences at the local level. How are you doing today, Evan?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, just to get into it, can you tell us a little bit about this event?
Yeah, absolutely. We were incredibly blessed to have a TEDx event right here on campus at SFA, and it's a nationally celebrated set of speakers who share ideas worth spreading. And it exposed students on our campus to some local thinkers right here in their own backyard.
What were some of the things that y'all discussed at the last event?
Okay, there was topics ranging from education and how to interact with students to our national parks and who's visiting them. Some folks talked about their experiences working and being a student with disabilities, and a lot of folks talked about sustainability and how we interact with our environment.
That's cool.
Okay, so out of some of the topics that they discussed, what were some of your favorite topics?
I was really interested in the topic on the national parks. Right now, with all the things happening in our government and funding issues, it really is kind of a question mark what will happen with our national parks down the road. And there was a gentleman who was a national park ranger and superintendent who was talking about who visits our parks and who's going to help in the next generation make the decisions to fund them and protect them.
Are those parks going to be, are some of those discussed in the Nacogdoches community? Are they relevant here?
I think they're relevant in any community because the national parks really are our parks, and they're a treasure that is just a part of being an American. So I think it resonates with everyone.
That's cool. Yeah, because I know we had you on the show last time, and you work at the Outdoor Pursuits office in the rec, and I remember you were very passionate about the outdoors. So that's really cool that you're involved with this national park issue, and that you're making a difference with that as well. So, what do you feel is the most important issue that TED, besides the national park thing, what other issues do you feel?
I think overall, the most important aspect of a TED event is that it allows people to share ideas or share concerns. And it also gives folks like myself and students here on campus at this particular event, it gives us an opportunity to be exposed to things that we wouldn't necessarily think about on a day-to-day basis or see on the news even.
Yeah.
And so it really is a treat to sit down and listen to someone who's a specialist in a certain area really share their understanding of their topic.
Yeah.
And I know you just said that issues were brought up that you weren't aware about. What were some of those particular issues that you're just like, wow, I didn't realize that was really an issue that needs to be fixed or talked about?
That's a really good question. I was really intrigued by a gentleman who's a professor on campus who happens to have a disability. And he shared his perspective growing up as a child with a disability, utilizing certain social services. And then he brought it together from the other side. Now he's a professor, and I believe in rehabilitation. And he helps educate people on the services that are available for people with disabilities. And to see an issue from both sides of the spectrum and to see someone advocating for that issue, it was very eye-opening.
And so then how do you think the events will affect other schools and across the nation?
Yeah, good question. I think any university is a place to provide unified diversity, to bring different thoughts and different people together. And SFA, I feel, is kind of cutting edge to recognize that and provide a venue for something like a TEDx event, an independently organized TED event, to stimulate thought, sharing of information. And I think it really does show one more way that SFA is out in front of its peer group as far as providing impactful, meaningful experiences for students and the Nacogdoches community.
Did you get to meet anyone new at this convention that you hadn't met before, or how was the networking like there?
It was fantastic. There were people from our community, there were professors, there were students, and the one thing we had in common is we were curious. We wanted to know, what is this event about? What thoughts are out there that we haven't been exposed to? And I was able to meet a woman who came in from Alaska to speak about her experience in the 1980s when the Exxon Valdez hit a reef and spilled oil into the fisheries, into the water, and affected the fisheries. And so meeting her and hearing that story from the perspective of someone who was there and lived it, that was a fantastic networking opportunity.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah, and then there was also, on the topic of outside, I guess, there was also that oil spill that just happened in Arkansas, I think.
Yeah.
And was that discussed at all, or is that?
You know, it didn't come up, but I think it was on some people's mind. That's something that a lot of us are curious about. We're not really sure what that means and how it's impacting the communities up there. But anytime there's energy extraction and the transportation of energy, it does open up communities to anything that could happen when it travels through that part of their world. So that topic didn't come up, but when you look at it through the lens of the Exxon Valdez and how that particular incident impacted the people who lived in the community, it does open you up for thought.
So how were you particularly involved in this event?
I was a starstruck community member sitting there having my mind blown with all the talks, and I did get invited to give a talk of my own, 15 minutes of terror for me, to stand up on stage with all of these great thinkers and be able to share an idea that I had. And so as a participant and as a speaker.
All right, well, thank you. And we actually do have some footage of this TEDx event, so let's check it out.
What is going to be the future of learning? I do have a plan, but in order for me to tell you what that plan is, I need to tell you a little story which kind of sets the stage. I tried to look at where did the kind of learning we do in schools, where did it come from? And you can look far back into the past, but if you look at present-day schooling the way it is, it's quite easy to figure out where it came from. It came from about 300 years ago. And it came from the last and the biggest of the empires on this planet. Imagine trying to run the show, trying to run the entire planet without computers, without telephones, with data handwritten on pieces of paper and traveling by ships. But the Victorians actually did it. What they did was amazing. They created a global computer made up of people. It's still with us today. It's called the bureaucratic administrative machine. In order to have that machine running, you need lots and lots of people. They made another machine to produce those people. The school. The schools would produce the people who would then become parts of the bureaucratic administrative machine. They must.
Welcome to Jack Talk. I'm Lonnie Sorrells, and yesterday I had the privilege of joining Student Activity Association, better known as SAA, at a new event that they're throwing called the Car Show. And it was what it was called, a car show. However, I'm here with my co-hosts, Laura Sadler and Will, and we're going to talk about the events that took place at this car show yesterday.
Yeah, so how was it, I
Yeah.
guess, compared to other car shows?
It was cool. I've only been to a few car shows, but I enjoyed it. There were a number of different types of cars. Entertainment was crazy. They had models, they had rappers, they had singers, live DJs, somebody named Swerve or something like that. He was really good on the ones and twos. It was cool.
Where was it, though?
It was in the commuter lot over there by Hall 20.
Oh.
So
yeah.
it was on the SFA campus.
Yes, it was on the SFA campus right by the street. So if anybody happened to have a nice car and drove by and saw it, they could just come and park there.
So it was
Their car
open
right
for
there.
anyone, just to, like, anyone could go?
Anyone, you had to pre-register, but if some people just had a nice car and they came and parked and
Yeah.
turned up their music really loud, and it was really cool.
So it just sounds like a good time, bunch of different people out
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah, good time. Alpha Phi Omega was out there giving away Freeze Pops. Who else was out there?
Freeze Pops.
Yeah, Freeze Pops. it was dope. It was so dope. My man came with a Lamborghini. That was easily the best car of the entire event because he
That's
just came. He
awesome.
parked his Lamborghini in the middle of all these old school cars and then left. So the Lamborghini
Just
just
left?
sitting there. Yeah, just left. I think he figured, hey, my car's gonna win by itself. It's a Lamborghini.
Still, I would not leave my
Yeah,
Lamborghini.
no. People, I almost shot an impromptu music video in front of the Lamborghini. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
But
Just dance on the roof.
yeah, there were a lot of old school cars, a lot of slabs, a lot of trunk rattling, a lot of screens dropping from the sky like raindrops. It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
What?
So these are probably cars that they've invested a lot of money into.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you compare it to other car shows that I've been to, it was more so students. So these students are just now starting to customize their rides and trick them out and get all the things that they need. So you could kind of see the work in progress. And then there were some old school cats who were from East Texas who had been working on their car for years. And you could just tell the difference, but everybody was passionate about their cars and had
Yeah.
crazy things to say, stories. And I, of course, asked them how the girls responded to their vehicles.
yeah.
And they were pretty positive responses from the females generally.
So, what do you think the difference between SFA car shows and Houston car shows would be then?
I would say the SFA one, it was just really, I don't want to say amateur, but it was kind of, it's in the beginning stages. The performers and everything, from the models and rappers, they're just now getting started. The people with cars, they're just now getting started. But it was dope to see them, you know, trying and just making
Yeah.
it happen. They had singers out there.
Yeah, it looks like that girl's getting it.
Oh,
there's
they were.
video.
They were. It was amazing. They were actually singing. It was a 90s theme, too, so they were singing, what's that song? The Boy Is Mine by Monica and Brandy.
So it had
Yeah.
a theme to it?
Yeah, just a loose 90s theme. Some of the performers, the rappers, were using 90s instrumentals, and
Oh, okay.
it was kind of like a picnic. A picnic car show, and I'm going to just lean back. was so
So,
sad.
you know, we talked about like the Houston car show. Do you think this gave the students kind of like a big city feel to it?
Big city feel to it. Yeah, it actually did. I called it Freaknik Jr. It was it was pretty. I don't know if you guys are familiar
What's
with
Freaknik?
Freaknik.
Yeah.
Freaknik is actually an Atlanta party that used to go down. That's a whole nother story and a whole nother segment. But overall, the car show was, for a first annual car show, it was good. It was organized somewhat. There were hitches, but it was good. I had fun.
I mean, I know nothing about cars, so would I have even had fun?
Yeah, you would, because they'll tell you about their car.
I mean,
They
I don't wanna-
won't hesitate, and they'll give you all the facts. Because I, too, am not too knowledgeable about cars. I just know what I like, and I know I like to drive fast. And that's pretty much
I
the
just
gist
know
of
that
mine.
they have 4 wheels and colors.
Yeah.
Like,
just
Did
basic.
you, Lonnie, have any friends that were in the car show?
No, I did not have any friends out there with their cars showing off. But the people there were so friendly, we became instant friends.
Uh-huh. And I know that you're kind of a talent and an entertainer. Would you have performed at this car show?
Yeah, I would have. I would have had to do a rehearsal first to make sure that the sound equipment was working and everything. Because like I said, they went through a couple hitches. Eventually, everything was running smoothly. But because it was the first one, it had a few hitches. Oh, and I gotta mention, there was a girl. She was doing some live painting. Like, they had everything at this event. She was doing live painting on stage. Her name was Jocelyn Cole. And she got up there and paint, and somebody ended up winning the painting at the end when they had the raffle.
That's awesome.
They had other awards for the cars, like interesting stuff like loudest bang, whose ever car could turn up the loudest, and best female car, because there were females out there representing.
Oh, so there was
doing it
girls
big
out
for the
there
ladies.
who had their
Yes.
cars all blinged out
all
too.
souped up and ready to go.
Oh, what were some of the other awards? Do you remember any of those?
There was the People's Choice Award, and that was cool. But
Did
I
the
think
Lamborghini win
there
that?
was a little George Bush going on with the People's Choice vote, because my man told all his friends, this is behind the scenes info. He told all his friends to vote for him. But it was cool. Get your prize, guy. I'm not mad.
Are you thinking about, I hate saying this, we're pimping your car out, I guess,
Am I thinking about
Yeah.
pimping my car out?
for the next car show?
No, not at all. I might just rent a real nice car, and then show up with my rental car, stun on everybody, get my prize, and then take my rental car back.
So
And I will have all the trash out of the car before I take it back, because they
Yeah.
charge you extra when you have it.
And then,
trash
you
in
know,
the
when you
car.
see all these cars, what were kind of some of the keys of pimping your ride? What are some of the essentials?
You're going to want some rims. You're going to want a nice glossy paint to make it shine. You're going to want to be able to pop your trunk and let those neon lights show. Yeah, that's a really popular theme with the cars. What else do you want? Screens can't hurt.
Oh,
Screens,
yeah.
screens are video displays inside the car. Like, some people were showing just music videos and combining their video screen display with their set of audio equipment. And
Well, I've always wondered about that, because I always see cars with screens like in the back seat, and I'm just like, why?
yes, you ride around with your screens on in the back seat, even though nobody's there. Just
Yeah.
For
because
the
you
other
can.
drivers,
Yeah,
to
like,
consider
exactly.
it.
Yeah, for the road.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching Finding Nemo in one of the cars.
Oh, really?
So they were playing Finding Nemo
Yes.
at a car show.
At the car show, somebody had Finding Nemo. It was a
college
very
kids.
crisp display, and it was just a lovely event. And I will be sure to go to the next one. Got to give a shout out to SAA. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. I would like to encourage everybody out there to go find a car, preferably an old car, because it's going to be cheaper. You take that old cheap car, you go to some upholstery shops, and you go to some rim shops, some tire shops, and you get it customized the way you like it. That's all. We'll be back for more Jack Talk, talking about the tragedy. Geez, that's a shift in emotion, but we're going to be talking about Boston. Stay tuned.
Hi, welcome back to Jack Talk. I'm Will Hackney. So, one of the most recent attacks of terrorism on U.S. soil happened on Monday, and I'm sure you've all heard of it. It was the Boston Marathon bombing. Well, here with me to discuss that topic this week, I have my co-host Laura, and then the student body president, Dennis Hagman. So, first, before we discuss that, we have a little footage of the events, but you know, it's a little graphic, so be warned.
Fucked up over here. Hey, there's gotta be people hurt out there. We've had an attack.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously that was just sad. It almost looks like a movie. It's
Definitely.
It's so unreal that that would
Yeah.
actually happen. But one of the most recent reports that we actually just got was that CNN is reporting that they've arrested someone for this. They apparently blew up a picture, and there was a guy in a black mask and a black sweater or something like that. And they're saying that that's what CNN is reporting, but the White House officials is saying that there are no arrests. So there's just a lot of unanswered questions to this whole
well,
thing.
yeah, I mean, that's the media. They're always getting facts wrong. I mean, you can't really trust what they say
True.
until a couple weeks after an event.
Very
So,
true.
but I mean, how do y'all feel about this? Obviously, we're all very sad and shocked about it, but I mean, what do you feel, like what effect do you feel this will have on us, like the U.S.?
I'll say in a domestic manner, I think that it does affect us, being that we are all citizens of America, seeing as well that you have some recent talk of, you know, the North Korea attacks and everything going on. You almost don't know what to believe on this particular topic. You don't know to think if it's domestic, is it foreign, you know, where exactly is this coming from. Seeing that we're in the month of April, past history shows that other bombings such as the Oklahoma shooting and also Columbine also
Yeah, I
happened
was
in
about to say,
April. So you kind of start to see a trend with the month of April of things like this happening. And I will say, along with those North Korea attacks, there's a lot going on for us in America right now. And even more so just here on campus, seeing that, you know, a lot of students are starting to be a little bit more aware of things going on. Seeing also that with this past Boston bombing, there was one that was inside of a backpack. One of the bombs in a backpack and another in a pressure cooker. So, I mean, people are really coming up with creative ideas of being able to, you know, have and plan these sort of attacks. So you almost don't know what to expect nowadays.
And I think a big issue is that when we think of a terror attack, we think that it's foreigners coming into America. But it's actually disgruntled U.S. citizens who are also
true.
Yeah.
doing this. I know that this whole Boston Marathon has been compared to either 9/11, and they said that there were some Saudi Arabians there. This is according to CNN reports. But that just the whole Saudi Arabian thing, there was just people there at the wrong time,
Yeah,
wrong
I
place,
mean,
wrong time.
it's a world event. People from all over the world come to this marathon. It's a very famous marathon. So, of course, I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to blame the foreigners. But
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, and then it's also been kind of reflected or compared to the Oklahoma bombings, which that was, of course, a U.S. Like, it's just, that's the scary thing is that it's U.S. citizens who are
yeah.
responsible for
This is
things
true.
like this.
Yeah.
And what's really sad is that parents and family members of the Newtown, Connecticut school
Right.
shooting were there. They were actually honoring them, and then you know they were near the bombs when it went off. I mean, that's tragic that they already went through this huge,
Yeah.
just tragic event in their lives, and then
Right.
now they get this. It's just awful.
Yeah, and there's been 3 reported deaths from this, and they're all been relatively young. The first one is she was supposedly a foreign exchange student from China. She was a graduate girl at Boston College, I believe. There was a 29-year-old woman, but then the one that really breaks my heart is the 8-year-old child who was there at the finish line with his mother, who now has brain injuries, and his sister who lost
a
her
limb,
leg.
yeah.
I mean, and it's just crazy. And the year before, I think he was in 3rd grade. In 2nd grade, he was part of a peace walk, and there's a picture of him holding the sign that says,
No
"No more
yeah.
hurting people," and it said "peace" with hearts on either side of the sign. And that just breaks my heart. You know, he stood for something like that,
And we saw, but I will say this, after it happened, we saw a lot of people running to help.
yes,
Right.
I mean, people were just running into the blast and helping pull people out of it. And they were, you know, some guy took off his belt and made a tourniquet for another guy so he wouldn't bleed to death. And it's really great that there was so much courage and
Yeah.
generosity and just kindness there as well. Do you feel as young adults we have a responsibility to share that with the world and, you know,
Oh, definitely.
Yes, most definitely. Considering as well that, you know, we're college students, and for that reason, you know, there's a lot that we have to do within the independent factor, saying that, you know, there's a lot of responsibility placed on ourselves as college students. But I think even more looking at it on the world factor, I think that people are starting to catch on to the idea of, you know, of civility and just, you know, being civilized within our society. I want to say that, especially given the week of reflection, being here on campus last week, it gave students a time to kind of think back on some things within their lives, and then for this event to happen, you know, it's just, it's very unfortunate. But I will say that I believe civility is a thing that we're working towards, especially here on this campus.
Yeah.
And I know as the student body president, you mingle with a lot of people on our campus and in our community. Have you heard what they're kind of talking about this? Are they scared for maybe the future here?
Yes, I will say just this morning in my media and politics class, we got on the topic and kind of looked at how the media has been portraying this particular incident. And as you mentioned before, there has been mixed reports. So for now, I think as students collectively, we don't really know how to feel until we know what exactly happened. But I can see just from the behavior of our students here on campus that they do care. However, once everything is out and we actually have facts to go off of, then I can see efforts start to move forward as far as us maybe having some type of relief support here on campus or something that we can do in regards to this situation. So I can see that happening here. I think that we have a great behavior that's been cultivated, especially given that we have the SFA way.
And then I actually know that this is kind of hitting home for SFA because the father of the 8-year-old, Martin Richard, he was actually a Sigma Tau Gamma. And we actually have that fraternity here on campus. And so I know that the Sig Taus across the nation, they're actually coming together, they're doing prayer groups together. And I have some friends who are in that fraternity here. And so I know that they're collectively coming together, you know, sending support and love there and sending prayers, lots of prayers for them.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of y'all for joining me on this really sad topic. But that's all the time we have for this edition of Jack Talk. I'd like to thank all of our guests for coming in today to speak with us. So until next time, later guys.